Mm-hmm.
Could there have been a third person involved? Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
In truth, it's hard to say. Huh.
Could there have been a third?
I was about to say, it doesn't feel right.
Halsey is the missing person.
Okay, so it is. So it's
The
Cowell.
deceased's name is Cowell.
Then how did he die is the question.
Huh? That can't be right.
Oh, what I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to victim.
Let's see.
No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. So, there must have been some fear that she would attract attention. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lenny as well.
So it can't be this. How can we envisage Lenny having been unable to interfere with the crime? So that would be it. If there was an altercation in the tunnel, that would be this.
The sound we heard may have...
The prime suspect currently.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at...
He's the prime suspect.
Halsey's clothing was a...
I got one correct. I knew that. Unable to interfere with the crime.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that... The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's... No one entered or left...
Okay, so it is my last part that is incorrect.
It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble?
I see how it is.
Look, since we're at a dead end, just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the magician's initial design.
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared. Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very likely. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you
interruption, dear opponents. But do you not see that the crowd is growing?
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant.
How would she the water?
The vase was not broken by chance. It would...
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually. And if there's a similar method...
How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about. Must we really? I should think that of any magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But
Even so, the truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps a new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would...
people really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of the rope. The way I see it, your suggestion...
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us make more progress. Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased, Cowell.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water from the primordial sea.
The primordial sea.
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
Bingo.
Gotta be kidding! People dissolving into water?
I mean, it is part of the
Something
prophecy.
so ridiculous actually be true.
Wait a moment. This reminds me of the same prophecy.
If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell was targeting that girl... Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your part?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results. But we cannot yet verify the veracity of these clues. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence, so please continue speaking.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial sea.
The deceased's name is Cowell. I remember there was something else within the
When did the
inner
company
layer
use to
of that
control the timing
box.
of the dissolution? Wait.
Lynette was in the magic box. I was something else within the inner layer of that box. Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick, but was instead some form of triggering mechanism. The rope that strung the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and cut. As such, the focus here is on the water and not the tank. Now it seems like the hook rope... The water from the primordial sea should already have been prepped before Halsey entered the magic box. I remember there was something...
Yes, okay. Interesting.
It's in the original plan. Cowell would tamper with the water tank rope, and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour into... Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel, and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank.
Huh. That actually links together a lot.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused an innocent person?
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case, and we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal effects.
What?
That can't be. Oh, does this not, my dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to... Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent, having made modifications to the props beforehand. His accomplice Cowell then caused Halsey to vanish using the water from the primordial sea. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linny desired sole credit and prepared to do away with his partner in crime. Ultimately, he knocked Cowell out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the fame... Am I right?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of...
Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move.
I think we've all seen enough. I believe this is indeed... Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice...
Excuse me, everyone.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout, and to respect the ongoing legal proceedings.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take... I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh, right before your very eyes. What in the...
No offense, miss, but miracles like...
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? Once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them? And wouldn't such a trick be the... Come on, Linny and Lynette, give it another go. But, as the magic makers and stars of the show...
I understand.
And voila!
Sorry.
Wait, isn't that Halsey?
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin?
What?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so I stole one. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there, but I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linny was the one who caught me in the act.
Oh!
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee. But then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costumes.
Wait a minute! The box that was haphazardly full of clothes! Holy shit, I was like, this is a very odd thing to show here. But not only that, it's why the water doesn't work on her. She's Mondstadt. She's a Mondstadtian.
I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire story
From Lillian's perspective. Oh my god, why? What? Oh.